Money talks. It can also silence. That's happening now as leaders in Washington are using business threats in an attempt to influence the programming of the big TV networks. It's also one of the reasons Congress revoked our federal funding to weaken the role public media plays as part of the free press. But we have something going for us that commercial broadcasters don't have. We have listener support.
Check it out. It is just after October 1st, which was the date that the CPB stopped existing for real.
A corporation for public broadcasting.
And we are primarily funded by our listeners, people who value the station, by you. That's especially important now because our federal funding has been revoked and that corporation has been dissolved as of October 1st. Please support your future NEPM listening by giving during our fall membership drive, nepm.org.
If you love the Fabulous 413 and the Fabulous 413 podcast, give now.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass Amherst School of Public Policy, offering in-person and online graduate programs in public policy and data analytics. Admissions now open at umass.edu/SPP. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, Live Music Friday with Norma Dream, who will play at Bombix in Florence tomorrow night.
And we'll speak with a musical exclusive theater company that's performing one of Sondheim's trickier works as we speak with K&E Theater Group about their production of Sunday in the Park with George, which opens at 33 Holly this weekend.
But first, tonight at the Hope Center for the Arts in Springfield, you have a chance to witness our next guest performing amazing feats of musicality and composition.
Rafiq Bhatia is a guitarist, producer, and Academy Award-nominated genre-agnostic composer, making sculptural, meticulously crafted music that finds common ground amongst ecstatic avant-garde jazz, mournful soul, fractured beats, and building-shaking electronics.
Solo and as a member of the experimental pop outfit Sun Lux, together with whom he earned an Oscar and BAFTA nomination for their head-spinning Everything Everywhere All at Once score. Bhatia has worked with David Byrne, Andre Benjamin, Mitski, and his work has been used in performances by Alarm Will Sound, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and others. He's been commissioned by the Kronos Quartet, Walker Art Center, Public Records, the Kennedy Center, the Toledo Museum of Art, and more.
In 2025, he's already released EP Each Dream, A Melting Door, a collaboration with pianist Chris Patishall, and the full-length released Environments, collaboration with trumpeter Riley Muthakar and Bhatia's Sunlux bandmate, drummer Ian Chang. Environments finds the trio improvising to conjure worlds of sound that bloom, melt, crackle, and combust. And tonight, October 10th, at the Hope Center for the Arts in Springfield, he'll be performing. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here.
This new album was so fun to listen to. It's so evocative, and I really love atmospheric music in this genre. Like, you have a song called Volcano that really does just sound like eruptions happening, and it's so cool.
That's the thing that is exceptional about the Environments album. The song titles all specifically say what they want to sound like, and specifically do sound like that.
Yeah, I feel like even if you didn't have the titles, you would be able to tell what kind of landscape you were trying to paint with all of the instruments that are involved. So what drew you to instrumental music of this nature?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for those words. And I think there is something to be said in these times, a lot of my favorite music, whether it's my favorite jazz improvisers like Thelonious Monk and John Coltrane, or, experimental electronic producers like Flying Lotus or Madlib, there are so many people where you hear 2 seconds of someone's music and you just know who it is right away because the person behind it is felt through their honesty and their presence, and that's something that I've always kind of been inspired by. But on Environments and on Each Dream, A Melting Door, the 2 releases you just mentioned, I think I was trying to maybe see if I could create music where rather than knowing who you are right away, you know where you are right away. Music that puts you in a place, and music that, like, when we dream, our brains are retooling and forging new pathways, and we wake up the next day replenished and able to imagine and confront the world in front of us. And I think what it feels like I need right now, and music has always been a form of therapy for me, and so I'm always trying to give others whatever it feels like we need. And we need places to imagine right now. We need sanctuaries. It's not escapes, it's sanctuaries, places where we can imagine what can come next, and we can heal ourselves and be ready to act
And the
on what we need next.
And these sanctuaries on environments are, I think, wonderfully specific. So the song titles are things like At Midnight on a Black Sand Beach, the Raging Tide Begins to Speak, or Aviary at Sunrise, or Rain on the Canopy. And when you hear Rain on the Canopy, you're using percussion and other types of instruments to bring that evocative sound that it makes, not just the pitter patter of rain, but the sound when rain hits something that has been strung out and kind of turns into a tuned object.
Similarly, on Sky Breaks Open, there's all of this feedback that just really evokes like thunder. It's so, so cool. And it's really percussive in a way you don't always get to hear guitars being.
Yeah. So, Rafiq, do you go out into the rain or to a beach and make notes, or do you go into your studio and imagine and try to bring it there?
Or do you go to
Well,
Guitar Center and just play with all the pedals until you find the
oh
thing that sounds the
no.
most
Yeah.
like
I stay as far away from Guitar Center as possible. Um, you know, living in New York, and living in essentially a cinder block in the middle of a concrete jungle, you have to imagine a lot. And I think there's this sort of energy of trying to bring the outside in a situation like that. And I think that, you know, a lot of these environments, when you start to like look at the components of them, you realize that it's not a one-to-one replica, but rather that the gestures that we're all making as a trio sort of evoke these landscapes. It's almost like the shapes of them are the thing that make you feel like you're in the place more so than like it being that specific sound or that specific source. And I think there are moments where you feel very clearly like you're hearing the rain, or you're hearing, a clap of thunder or something like this, but the way that we're conjuring those things is often quite divorced from whatever the source is. Like I remember um, there's a chef by the name of Ferran Adria who has this really crazy restaurant called El Bulli. They had it for many years, and he would synthesize these foods out of like all kinds of molecular gastronomy methods and things like this. And I've always been really inspired by the story that I heard from a friend where he got to try this. He sat down at a bar at one of the restaurants and ordered a martini, and there was an olive in the martini. And he tasted the olive, and his head exploded because it was the most olivey olive. It was like the essence of an olive. And it was so amazing that he had to pull the bartender aside and say, how did you guys find this olive? This is the best olive I've ever had in my life. And the bartender was like, oh, there's no olive in that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of what we're trying to do in a way with our instruments and with these electronic tools, is like create this really hyper real immersive feeling, but it's out of, like we're drawing on more than just the actual sound of the real world. It's a dream of a landscape.
But like talk about like the difference between that experience of like making this dreamscape in something that is intentionally intangible, as opposed to like the atmosphere that you would create for like the score to Everything Everywhere All at Once, where you really do need it to be at least partially tangible to the things that you're seeing.
Yeah, I think in both cases it's tangible, but I think that scoring a film, and scoring films has taught me a lot about this idea of like how you evoke place with sound, and how you sort of create the sort of scale and cinematic sort of sweeping perspective that a film requires. It's been a great training ground for what we're doing on environments. And I think that another thing that is just really important is like being aware of just the ways in which sound can kind of guide the listener down a path. You know, there's a lot of music that deals with nature that's sort of on the calming and consonant end of the spectrum. And what we're trying to do with environments, I think, is a more full spectrum kind of engagement with what nature can be. And that includes, like you were talking about, the volcano. Like there are these powerful metaphors for sublimation and transcendence in nature. And that stuff can be very deeply physical. And, like I want it to be immersive and immense and to shake your rib cage up a little bit, rearrange you a little bit, because we need that in order. I think that's what film teaches me is like you need the intense moments and the visceral moments for the beautiful moments and the tranquil moments to really feel the most like themselves.
We're speaking with the guitarist, producer, and Academy Award nominated composer Rafik Bhatia, who will be in Springfield at the brand new Hope Center for the Arts tonight. Going back to that Oscar-nominated score, you, as I understand it, were picked out by the Daniels, who created Everything Everywhere All at Once, because of the individual releases of the members of Sunlux and their fandom towards all of your individual ways of approaching things. Did you have any idea the impact that not only that beautiful score and then the closing song with David Byrne and Mitski, which slays me every time, and then to be nominated and win so many Oscars. I mean, I knew I was going to fall in love with it with Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kung Fu. I'm in. But that's kind of an odd combination of things that people may or may not like.
We had no idea. Zero. We just were so honored and felt so seen when the Daniels reached out to us. We learned later that we were the first people who were officially hired on that project.
Oh,
Wow.
So it was very, very early in the process. And the Daniels, for people who know them well, that they came up through the world of making music videos. They engage with music in such a beautiful way, and they're so specific about what they want music to do and helping them tell a story. And so when they came to us, like you said, they'd listen to all of our records as individual musicians. They'd listen to all the Sunlux music. And they had a really specific directive where they were like, this score, it's a multiverse, and we need the sound to tell us where we are right away, even before the visual does. And so when we're watching this film, we want it to feel almost like you're like changing channels on a television. Like one, sound should be almost completely different than the next. Like it's like you're just flipping through something. But over time, these universes, they're going to start intersecting. And so their sounds need to start intersecting and they need to get woven into something that, actually has a lot of emotional weight, because really at the end of the day, this is a story about family and we want to feel it super deeply. And we feel like in all of the three of your music, both individually and together, you guys have this love of taking things that aren't supposed to go together, that on paper shouldn't work together, and reconciling them. And that spirit is what we need, to make this project come to life. And so the three of us were just like speechless, because we were like, wow, I can't believe that you guys hear all of this in our work. And that is something that the three of us really are united by. Like for me, I think taking things that weren't supposed to fit together and making them work beautifully in a piece of music is like a way of sort of reconciling all these disparate aspects of my childhood, growing up as the son of immigrants in North Carolina, and the Muslim at the time of 9/11, all these things. Like I used music as a ground to try to find, to better understand identity and to be able to speak to it. And I think all three of us have had those kinds of experiences. But we also, they sent us a copy of the script at the same time, and we read it. And we were like, oh wow, no one's gonna give them the money to make this film. This is totally insane. Like,
Rakakuni? How could it not?
yeah,
How could it not be amazing?
Ryan was texting me. Ryan from Sunlux was texting me while we were both reading, and he was like, "I think the script is out of order. Like the pages are out of order." And I was like, "No, that's on purpose."
Swiftly became like literally one of my favorite movies ever. I think I
Same.
saw it the most times of any movie I've ever seen in theaters.
Yeah,
Outside of like Akira when it gets like reshown.
doesn't count.
I can tell you that nobody working on that project was thinking about, you know, trying to go after awards or like any of that. It's hopefully self-evident that what we all cared about was like making the best thing that we possibly could. And every time we would see something come in from one of the other departments on the film, like the visual effects or the costumes or whatever, we would just be like, this is insane. Like, how can we make the music even, push even harder with the music so that we can keep up with what everyone else is doing.
That's
so
incredible.
It really was just so beautiful to be a part of.
Well, I will tell you that I've never been a cooler dad than when I told my children that you were coming on the show today, Rafik Bhatia from Sunlux, because my son Enzo is a film studies major and he listens to that soundtrack all the time. And my theater major son was saying he listens to Easy all the time of your solo stuff. So, it's I'm a cool dad today at least. And we are speaking with Rafik Bhatia, who is at the Hope Center for the Arts today, this evening. You can see him performing live.
Speaking of combining with other arts, like you, Sunlux did a residency at Mass MoCA just coming out of the pandemic, and you've done other things at other museums. Talk about like working with static visual art within music too. I know it's part of like building environments and building sort of like safe, interesting spaces for that music to exist, but like I still feel like people don't necessarily correlate music to visual art in that way. So talk about those collaborations and those installations that you've been a part of.
A lot of the things that I've worked on have actually been in the direction of moving image, even when it's not, sort of like film scoring explicitly. It's been these more active kinds of iterations of music in a visual arts setting. And I think that one of the things, though, is definitely that there's a chance in these spaces to really broaden how we think about like what even the medium is that we're working in. And I've just drawn so much inspiration from spending more time in those spaces and seeing how other artists in the visual arts world think about their work. Like, for example, at Mass MoCA, there's a lot of work by the visual artist James Turrell. And people might say that James Turrell works with light as his medium, but if you really start to examine his work and read about what he, how he thinks about it and talks about it, he says that visual perception is his medium because he's using light, but he's using it in a way that's really kind of oriented towards an understanding of how we see light. And he's tricking our visual system into thinking, for example, that the sky is changing colors as different kinds of light are used to illuminate, one of his dome-like sky spaces. Like there's one at Mass MoCA. It's like a, water tower with a circle cut out of it, and you're looking up at the sky, and he's lighting the inner part of the water tower in such a way that, it feels like the sky itself is changing colors. Like 1 second it's turquoise, and then the next second it's like an inky black, and you can't even see the stars or the clouds or anything, and then it's back to being blue. It's really amazing. And I think, as someone who likes to work with sound in a similar way, where it's like partly about the things that we usually think of as music, and then also about like how do we actually connect with the more primal instinctual things about how we evolved to hear sound, and like what is the thing that makes us feel a sense of like on Volcano, like how do we instill the sense of like a looming threat, on Aviary, what is it that happens to our bodies that we soften when we hear birds sing, because when birds sing they're safe, and so we've evolved to think of ourselves as being safe in their presence. So it's really inspiring to see how visual artists work, because I think they're given a lot of leeway to to imagine, like our physical experience of their work. And it's fun to kind of bring that into the world of sound too.
I'm curious if for Environments, the new album, any environments from your time at Mass Mocha crept their way into the inspiration of that, because you're in New York City, I believe, most of the time, which you were supposed to be here but got caught in traffic getting out of there.
Oh my God, it has been the worst traffic
I'm
today.
so
I've
sorry.
never experienced anything quite like this.
Well, I'm glad we got
thank you guys for rolling with us.
Oh no, but did the
but
did the more rural landscapes of Mass Mocha and North Adams make their way into your environments at all?
I got to talk about one thing about Mass Mocha that very much made its way into environments, and it has to do with that Terrell piece that I was just talking about. Which is, again, you're watching this hole at the top of this water tower, you're watching the sky, and it feels like it's changing over the course of sunset as different colors wash into this water tower. And I have, my partner Nina and we've been together for a very, very long time, and some numbers of years into this period, that's too many to count, we decided that we wanted to get married. And I had been so excited to show her James Turrell's work for so long, and I realized that Mass Mocha was the perfect place to ask her if she'd like to spend the rest of her life with me. And so I was able to get Denise Marconish, who was there as a curator at the time, rope her into this plan to pretend that we were coming to town for a site visit for an installation. And, so Nina and I show up to Mass Mocha, and Denise walks us around the museum, and she ends up, we end up at the Terrell for this sky space experience. So we sit together in complete silence for 30 minutes, watching the sky change colors as the sun sets. And at the end of this silent experience, and also we were masked because it was late pandemic. And so we could only see each other's eyes. And we enjoyed this experience in silence. And at the end of the 30 minutes, I got down on one knee and asked her silently the question. And she said yes. And that was shortly before the Environments record was recorded. And I think there are these moments of just this boundless joy on that album that, certainly when I look within myself to like where I found the energy to be able to speak to something like heralding the rising sun, like that's where the well, that's the well that I was drawing from, I think. So yeah, definitely.
Wicked cool.
It's incredible stuff. The new album is amazing. The new EP is amazing. And you have an amazing opportunity to see Rafik Bhatia, the guitarist, producer, and Academy Award-nominated composer behind Everything, Everywhere, All at Once with his band Sunlux tonight at the Hope Center
Doing it
for
live
Arts
in
in
person.
Springfield. To see it in person, go keep live music live and support it. And I appreciate you pulling over in all the traffic to make time to be on the show today, Rafik Bhatia. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you all so much for having me, and hope to see everyone tonight.
Oh, our pleasure.
Coming up, Norma Dream joins us for Live Music Friday as they gear up for a performance at Bombyx in Florence tomorrow night.
And first, one of our favorite librettists is getting up on his feet at 33 Holly this weekend as we speak with the folks of K&E Theater Group about their performances of Sondheim's Someday in the Park with George.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastworks, 4 floors of makers, artists, and entrepreneurs located in the Mill District in East Hampton, where community happens. Learn more at eastworks.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Comfort Bagel, scratch-made artisan sourdough bagels, spreads, and sandwiches for breakfast or lunch on Main Street in Westfield and at their new location in Holyoke at 92 Race Street. ComfortBagel.com.
We are at 33 Holly in Northampton, which is the home of many arts organizations, but for our purposes right now, it's the Flex Space and the home of K&E Theater Company, which this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be presenting Sunday in the Park with George.
One of Sondheim's weirder musicals.
We
And
were
that's saying a lot.
Yeah,
'cause
Khalees and I were talking earlier today about Sondheim and about how, like, he's so great. But with every single one of the musicals, there's some, I don't want to call them fatal flaws, but some major flaws.
And then I was mentioning, like, I mean, who goes out and makes a whole musical about assassins?
Right.
Which we've done.
Libretto-wise, it is a fantastic libretto. Sondheim in general is just, like, musically fascinating. Content-wise, you're like, huh, this?
Yeah. And this particular Sondheim, Tony Award winning, so it's not like it went underappreciated in its time like some other Sondheims. But what is your name first?
I'm Eddie Zitka.
You're the E of K&E Theater. The K does not want to be part of this interview, but is in this room.
Now he's hiding.
Who is the K?
Ken Komiya.
And the K is for the Ken, not the Comia.
That's right.
And what's your name?
Nikki Elledge, and I'm playing Dot and Marie in the musical.
If you're not familiar with this particular Sondheim musical, Sunday in the Park with George, tell us what it's about. Dot?
Oh, sure. So, Sunday in the Park with George is a beautiful musical written by Stephen Sondheim and James Lapine, and it's really about George Seurat, the painter and artist from 1859. That's when he was born, and it's a fictionalized story about his life. There's also a lot of truth in it about his painting, his relationships. There's a big theme of legacy and connection. And it's just a beautiful show that starts during his life, and then the second act explores 100 years later with more of his family.
I like to think of it as it's a musical about a painting and also time travel.
It's also about the obsessive nature of artists sometimes and the art that consumes them, and sometimes the people in their lives by proxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truth.
So the whole first act leads up to this very famous tableau of the very famous painting by Seurat. And what is that painting?
A Sunday afternoon on the Grand Jatte.
You know this painting, whether you know it by name or by not. When you see it, it is one of the more iconic paintings. And your character name is an interesting one, as far as I understand,
Yes.
because you did not exist in the real life of the painter, but you are kind of a metaphor for the way of the painter.
Yes, so I'm playing Dot, which the name is perfect because George Seurat was known for his pointillism. He was a neo-impressionist painter, and he created a bunch of dots with a handful of colors that created this incredible, huge painting that we can now see in Chicago at the Art Institute. It's beautiful to see as well. We've both been there. But yeah, so the first act, I'm playing Dot, and I'm in the painting. I'm the one on the, if you're looking at it, on the far right with the big bustle and the black parasol. And I'm playing his love interest and his model. We're not sure if, well, she's also in some other paintings that, at least one other painting that he has. So I'm thinking that she was a real part of his life in some way, as at least a model for him. But this explores more of a romantic relationship between them, but I don't want to spoil the rest of that character journey.
That's our soldier.
Oh, your soldier has arrived.
Ooh. Hi, soldier. Look at him. He hasn't seen him yet.
The hymn that he hasn't seen, tell us what we're looking at on stage here.
So we are actually looking at a couple of cutouts of characters that are in the painting that Karina Savoy and Anthony Sarkis painted for us for the show. And Matthew, who plays the soldier, has a silent and deaf cutout that he carries around with him.
Because in the painting, there's two soldiers.
What were some of the challenges of staging this? Because one of the key elements of this, in addition to seeing Seurat paint this picture, is that the characters come alive and like are stagnant within the tableau of the painting throughout the entire show. So, what were some challenges on doing it on this stage?
Because this is a small theater, it's not an elevated stage. There's stadium-style seating. It's basically on the floor, though, the stage.
Well, the small stage is definitely one of the biggest challenges, and the space on the sides for all the trees. But I guess really it's just making sure that we get everyone on stage and it doesn't look too crowded or muddled. So that was a big challenge. Another big challenge of the show is putting all the trees on the stage with all 15 cast members on this small space. But I think we're going to do it. I think it's going to be great.
And I would build on to that as an actor in Act 2, we sing a whole song in our poses within the painting, and it's Hot Up Here. And as an actor, it's really it's first of all an incredibly challenging piece of music, and you're just like by yourself frozen, and it's sort of an isolating experience as an actor, but very cool because you're actually part of this piece along with the cutouts.
We're talking about Sunday in the Park with George, which will be here at 33 Holly this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's presented by K&E Theater. Tell us about K&E Theater and your vision and how long you've been in existence.
K&E Theater Group started in 2017. We started with Sweeney Todd.
An easy one to do.
Another easy one.
Are you working through all the Sondheims?
Slowly but surely.
Yes.
Merrily, they roll along through them all.
They sure do. Merrily, we do. That was at Gateway City Arts, and then we moved here in 2019, where we did Songs for a New World and Assassins. And then, we stopped for a little bit because of COVID, and then we went on to a large season with Cabaret and, oh my God, Hello Again. And the big thing is that we like to do musicals that don't necessarily get a chance all the time, whether it's because they're obscure or they're difficult, whatever the reasoning may be, but we feel like they deserve their chance. And then if we do a show that is more well-known, I like to give it a fun little twist. And so that's kind of been our MO. We choose things that we can either explore something new thematically or something that just doesn't get a shot.
Does this one fall into the category of something that is well-known or not well-known? Because sometimes I don't know what other people know about Broadway or not.
It's well known. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning piece, but people don't do it very often. Although I have seen a resurgence of it in the country recently, but it's because it's so hard.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, it's just having a resurgence because people want to show off. This is one of Sondheim's more difficult musicals, period.
Yeah.
Yes.
And originally, at least on Broadway, I think it was Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters, and then there was a London
And
production.
Data.
Oh, Data from Next Generation, right.
But I mean, they had like a dress that opened on stage that was made out of like something that they use in space, and then there were cutouts coming out of the floor. We don't have that here.
No.
But it's going to be good still. It's going to be beautiful.
It is.
You got to bring your own imagination to these kind of things. That's one of the
We
things
have
that theater
magnets
does.
that can open up a dress.
We
so,
sure do.
Yeah, we tried it yesterday, and
We
it's
love
going to be
magnets.
perfect.
Oh, nice.
Talk about your set design a little bit here. Like we talked a little bit about your set pieces that were painted by folks locally, but this is actually kind of minimal.
We don't have the room to project the painting onto the back wall like most shows that people that do this. So what we have is a 20-foot by 14-foot white curtain that is up to be like a canvas, and we're lighting it from behind with blues and greens, and then of course we have the trees that are on platforms that roll in and out, and then there's a surprise reveal that we're not going to tell you.
Yes. There's the twist.
If you go behind the curtain, you'll see it.
We'll secretly see it, but we won't tell you, listener.
Exactly.
There's very few musicals where you're allowed to travel this far in the future. Did playing those future versions of your previous selves change the way you approach performing in the first half?
That's such a good question. Yes, I think at first I was very afraid to play Marie, who is Dot's daughter, and the second act takes place 100 years later, and Marie is 98 years old, and so that really scared me. I've never played an old lady before, but I'm just loving Marie so much, and I'm learning so much more about Dot as Marie, and I get to sing about Dot as Marie in Act 2 during the song Children in Art, and I think it's making me appreciate Dot so much more now that I'm playing Marie. So yes, all the characters have a parallel role in Act 2, and I think, especially for George and Dot, there's a lot to take from it.
Talk about the music, because it is a musical.
Yes.
So live music, are you performing to tracks? How does it work?
No, we have an 8-piece band.
In
which
addition
is-
to 15 actors on stage.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We had our sitz probe yesterday, which is when the actors get to sing with the orchestra for the first time, and it was really beautiful. Like a handful of us were crying at the
Yeah.
end, genuinely, because this score is so lush and it has Sondheim written all over it, and it just gives you all the emotions, and adding the incredible orchestrations meant so much.
I mean, our percussionist, if you go to look at his setup over there, he is completely surrounded on all sides. He has pots and pans, he has wind chimes and a ship's bell, and many other things over there. So it's a lot, but you know, it's 8-piece band. It's amazing humans, so talented, and this is just, I'm very excited for people to see this.
I'm imagining this is a labor of love for people rather than any sort of economic benefit to probably anybody. Is this full time for you, Eddie?
No, I teach dance. I do a whole bunch of things. I'm everywhere.
And what about you?
I'm a music teacher in Springfield.
Oh, nice.
I teach kindergarten through 8th grade music. But before COVID happened, I was a professional actor, and so I feel like I'm coming home to get to do a Sondheim piece again.
Is this your first
It
foray
is.
back into the
It is my
theater?
first time being back on stage since 2019.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What in a modern day where I think like musicals are definitely becoming more pop oriented in their sensibilities is
Do you
the
mean popular?
Oh my goodness.
No.
I'm just gonna let this look hang here for a minute. Anyway, what is the appeal of Sondheim in a day that's moving away from his kind of musical sensibilities?
I mean, I just think.
Besides the difficulty,
Yeah,
because
well, I think that's what's the best part about it is it's so tough as an actor and singer. But I think there's just so much truth in his work, regardless of if it's about assassins or if it's about the woods or if it's about a painting. Like, I think there's just like serious human truths in all of his pieces, and I think we need that more than ever right now.
about all your friends getting divorced.
Exactly. We still need it because when you get to the crux of the matter, it's about humanity and goodness and.
And then on a larger scale, talk about the appeal of musicals, because I think we've finally gotten out of the people being not reviled, but definitely ridiculed for enjoying them. But they're not regarded in the same way necessarily as like standard capital T theater. So talk about the appeal of doing just musicals for your company.
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, everyone should break out into song, like in the middle of the day, brushing their teeth. That's number one. I know I do. But number two, music, I think, elevates human emotion, especially in me. I find that there are things that music does that just lifts me into like a new realm. And so when I'm watching a musical, I feel so much from the music that I don't feel with straight theater. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's just something I love, yeah. So that's why we do musicals.
And I think sometimes we've seen maybe a not so great production at some point in our lives or something that put a bad taste in our mouth about what musical theater is. But I think when it's done well, it's like there's really nothing like it. And I think anyone could probably find something interesting and emotional about it.
I know I do. Nothing makes me cry faster than a musical or even a trailer for a musical movie.
Yeah,
True.
big one coming up.
You're so excited about the new Wicked.
I'm just excited about musicals. I've loved musicals as a kid. It's like the one big gift that my mom gave me that I took from her, where when we were really little, we got taken to the Providence Performing Arts Center for the touring companies of every big musical that came around, and still that love in there. But it does hit sentimentally in a different way than some other types of theater. So, yeah. I didn't cry once when I went to go see Bill and Ted on Broadway this past weekend, but I loved it.
They didn't sing though.
If
they
they
sang,
did,
you would have
I
cried.
would have cried. That's why you love musicals. Yeah.
Right.
Well, break a leg.
Thank you.
Thanks so
We're
much for taking
excited.
time out of your rehearsal schedule to talk with us.
Of course, we love talking to you.
If you come see the show, it's going to be so beautiful.
The K&E Theater Group starts their 8-show run of Sundays in the Park with George tonight, October 10th, and goes through October 18th. Get your tickets and see the vast array of their previous shows at ketg.org. They sound good.
Yeah, they do. That is them actually singing in their rehearsal.
Yeah.
Up next, we dance and celebrate the release of Norma Dream's newest album before you can grab a pizza and hear the whole thing tomorrow night at Bombyx in Florence.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Real Pickles, a worker-owned cooperative in Greenfield producing organic fermented vegetables sourced from Northeast farms. More information at realpickles.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday, and with us is the Valley's own Norma Dream.
Fronted by Florence native Norma Jean Haynes, Norma Dream is gracing the Bombyx stage to celebrate their debut studio release, Mercy Drops. In addition to a full band rendition of the record, the night will feature a screening of a new music video for Strawberry Wine, shot on 16mm film, old school, and directed by award-winning filmmaker Lilith Danielen, and a performance by the Mia Friedman Band.
Norma Dream features the lucid songwriting of Norma Jean Hayes, who has been described as a beguiling stylist in folk music, marked by drama, beauty, and strangeness.
Alongside Norma Jean today in the studios with us for Live Music Friday is Will Amond, fiddler Camille Vogleyhouse, and guitarist Eli Liguz. Close enough? What was it? Ligus. Oh, we tried so hard to get it right.
Honestly, it's fine.
We're happy to be
It's
corrected. But let's hear a song from Norma Dream.
All right. Like a berry that was plucked just ripe. You were red and juicy and he bruised you right. I know the way it hurt, but even there, bleeding in the dirt, you grew sweeter all the time. Sweeter still, strawberry wine. You know some are gonna love you, some are gonna leave you too. And some are gonna give more than you ever asked them to. And you are gonna love, not because you got it. You are gonna love, just because you want it. It'll flow easily, it'll flow clear and free, like the river, darling, to the sea. On you, but you were supple as a willow bough. Yes, if breaking you was easy, you'd be broke by now. And I know that even then, in the spring you rise again. You know some are gonna love you, some are gonna leave you too, and some are gonna give more than you ever asked them to. And you are gonna love, not because you got it. You are gonna love, just because you want it. It'll flow easily, it'll flow clear and free, like the river, darling, to the sea. Strawberry wine, willow bough. Love 'em good, the way God made 'em. Let 'em go, don't try to save 'em. Because some of them are broken, some of them are bleeding too. And you're not gonna save them, all you'll ever save is you. And you are gonna love, not because you got it. You are gonna love, just because you want it. It'll flow easily, it'll flow clear and free. Like the river, darling, to the sea. It will flow easily, it'll flow clear and free. Like the river, darling, to the sea.
Norma Dream, whose album release party will be at Bombyx in Florence. Norma Jean from Norma Dream's hometown tomorrow night.
Talk about the title for this album, Mercy Drops.
Sure enough. So the title Mercy Drops, it actually comes from the lyrics of a sacred harp hymn. Sacred harp is this choral singing tradition that came out of the Puritan church in New England. And it's the 17th century hymn that says, God, from his thirsty Zion's hill, some mercy drops has thrown. And I kind of really got into this idea of mercy drops being this accumulation of small graces that makes life a little easier when things are hard.
It's not like a cough drop.
Oh.
Those are more testaments.
No. No. No.
Norma Dream's new album is Mercy Drops, and it will be celebrated at Bombyx tomorrow evening.
There's not enough apologies for the puns.
Norma and the band is here with us as well. Will Amond, Camille Vogley-House, and Eli Liggis. Yeah. Nailed it! This is maybe a better question for the band, but I've known Norma for years now, and I always feel like I'm talking with a time traveler. Like, Norma feels like you belong to a different time. In every aspect of your dress, your manner, your songs even. How does it feel like you're dealing with a time traveler as well?
Sort of. I mean, Norma's also, very forward-thinking. She has said profound things about artificial intelligence and the future, But yeah, I think the scope of her perspective is wide, through time.
Yeah, I think that's a reason also why we mesh as a band and as friends is we all have a deep appreciation for historical music and context and how that is relevant today and how we can create new things with what we love from the past.
Yeah, it's like my teacher always said, kind of the main facet of tradition is innovation. Like, there's no tradition without innovation, essentially.
Interesting.
Facts.
Melding those worlds.
Cool. Yeah. Let's take a little break, and we'll come back and hear another song from Norma Dream.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday on 88.5 NEPM.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. It's Live Music Friday, and tomorrow, for Live Music Saturday night at Bombyx in Florence, is the album release of the album Mercy Drops with the band Norma Dream from Florence. Let's hear another song from the new album.
1, 2, 3, 4. Summer desired the fullness of me, my thighs stained with fruit from the mulberry tree. But I wasn't forbidden, not you, not then. The call of the screech owl rising again, 'neath the living velvet of the heavenly bodies, bestow the secret of our heavenly bodies. You dipped your spoon down into the honey, then straight to your lips, and I thought that was funny. That beyond all time and beyond all reason, I wanted to give you the best of the season. But winter demanded the patience of snow. I cover your tracks, I can't say where you go, but your touch stains me red, and I know that you know that I've come too far to be left in the cold. And the ice was cracking and the light was changing, and my heart was breaking. Yes, things needed naming. But winter oppressed us, it pressed us apart, left the blossoms of summer pressed meek in my heart. And beyond all time and beyond all reason, I wanted to give you the best of the season, the iced crystal winter, the summer wind breathing. But all that you gave me was a reason for leaving. Oh, changes, comfort me. I think of change as husbandry. I welcome change into my bed, where you once lay, resting your head. I'm not beyond hate, I'm not beyond fear. I simply believe that the truth will run clear and the seasons will cover, yes, one with the other. And I'll call this stranger whom I call a lover. But beyond all time and beyond all reason, I wanted to give you enough to believe in. Hold fast with my blue eyes on the horizon. I could never catch up, I could never stop trying. Yes, beyond all time and beyond all reason, I wanted to give you enough to believe in. The ice crystal winter, the summer wind breathing. I wanted to give you the best of the season.
So pretty.
So pretty. Norma Dream, this Live Music Friday in the Fabulous 413, playing tomorrow at Bombix in Florence, their album release party.
Mm-hmm.
Norma, before we let you go, I just wanted to honor your dad,
Yeah.
Chris Haynes, who passed away earlier this year, who was a big part of the music scene in the Valley and beyond, part of the Young at Heart Chorus, did a lot with the Northampton Arts Council, and taught in Springfield.
Yeah, he was the head of the music department at Springfield College for many years.
And you carry him with you still musically.
Yeah, every day in every way. He was the first person I worked on many of these songs with, so he's kind of deeply embedded in them.
He was a wonderful human being, and I was really lucky I got to know him. Thank you both all for coming in for this performance today for Fabulous 413.
Yeah, we hope to see you at Bombix.
Yeah, I mean, there's pizza and good music. What could be better?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yes.
Next week on the show, we'll explore new theater in Wendell when we speak with the playwright and cast of Swamped.
We're going to take you to the Cricket Creek Farm Picnic, the Straw Dog Writers Guild Right Angles Conference.
We'll hear how influential Hampshire College has been to math with the film Hunting Yellow Pigs, and the Northampton Record Fair happens. All good things.
We'll see you sort of next week. We'll technically be off. But
Look, ruin the magic.